Good day to you all snow lovers. This is Ethan from the Sawtooth Avalanche Center with your weekend update for Friday, February 12th, 2021. Just as a reminder, this is not a replacement for the daily avalanche forecast. You got to check that every morning at sawtoothavalanche.com. Jumping right into it, give you a little preview. We'll talk about the wind event that we saw earlier this week. We'll talk about the snow up in the northern zones that they're enjoying right now. We'll talk a little bit about the weather moving forward into tomorrow, and we'll talk about a problem shift, so a shift in avalanche problems that you're likely to see coming tomorrow as well. So February 5th, which was Friday of last week, to Monday, really, so over the weekend, was the brunt of a multi-day strong to extreme wind, northwest wind event that we experienced across the forecast area. Absolutely just raked the high alpine peaks. There was lots of drifting, even lower on slopes. This is a relief of a ski track. So somebody skied through here, packed the snow down, and then the wind just stripped all the remaining snow right out of there. This is a video from Patterson Peak. And again, just really gnarly winds. Patterson Peak is right above Haley. This video was sent to us at the Avalanche Center. There was substantial cornice development. The whole upper half of this cornice roughly was created during this wind event. Some really interesting cornice development here in the Sawtooth. Ben took this photo here. And this is out in the 4th of July drainage of the White Cloud Mountains. Again, just the bare spots are just where the wind has just completely removed the snowpack and blown it away into oblivion or turned it into hard slabs nearby. A look at the Baldy weather station from that time period. We had, if you look up at this little windrows here, this cluster that's kind of on the northwest quadrant shows that all the wind was coming from the northwest. This is wind with time, so time is across the bottom. This is the 5th, this is February 8th, and the blue is sustained wind speeds. So that was anywhere from 20 miles per hour, which is right here, to 40 miles per hour. So sustained 20 to 40 for a good portion. And then the red line up above is the gusts. So we had numerous gusts on Baldy over 40 miles an hour, even a couple that peaked over 60 miles an hour. Just for fun, we will look at the Soldier weather station because that is probably it is our windiest spot in the forecast area. You can see also the wind was pegged at northwest, extreme wind. And if you look at these, they're pretty remarkable. We had sustained 40 mile an hour plus wind, which is extreme gale force wind. And the gusts, which is this red line again along the top, peaked up to just at 100 miles per hour. So really pretty crazy wind up there. And that wind has actually continued. This was today. I had the fortune of going up to work on our weather station because it decided to completely kick the can, and the anemometer got ripped off of it and thrown about 200 feet downslope, downwind. And this is what it looked like. Probably 50 mile an hour wind. It was actually kind of hard to stand without getting blown over. And at one point my goggles got blown off my helmet and my backpack was sent flying about 15 feet down the hill. So still windy up in the Soldiers, surprise. That wind event did actually cause some avalanches. So if you're looking here, see if I can move myself. This is a crown of an avalanche that occurred on McDonald Peak in the southern Sawtooths. It filled overnight sometime on Sunday. This was first spotted and sent to us by an observer. We went back and took a couple photos, and it is just an absolutely thick, fat slab avalanche. Really cool looking, heavily wind-loaded area. You can see that same avalanche on the left there, and then there is also some other avalanche activity coming out of these cliffs down off McDonald Peak here, again from that extreme wind event. moving on to the current storm as of Friday evening. This picture was actually just sent to us out from Ben out in the field near Fishhook. He's likely still out there right now, is my guess, since it's not midnight yet. And we had close to 30 centimeters of storm snow already from our current storm, which started yesterday, and similar amounts, almost a foot of snow up near Banner so far. And then we just have a lot less new snow from this current system near Galena Pass and south. So it's really heavily favoring the Sawtooths and Banner Summit currently. Now about the shift in problems, we each winter, assuming it's a normal winter, we see some sort of weak layer usually buried deeper in the snowpack, and then we subsequently continue to bury that weak layer deeper and deeper into the snowpack. And eventually we shift that problem from a persistent slab problem to a deep persistent slab problem. And that shift has occurred already in Banner Summit, where our deepest snowpack is, where the weak layer that we've been talking to you all year long is now 4 to 5 feet deep. That weak layer happens to be the same layer across all of our forecast area, but the big difference is how deep it's buried. So you can see this kind of gray band of facets down near the base of the snowpack. That's present all across our forecast area in all the different zones. We refer to it as the December facets in the forecast, or sometimes that you'll see it in observations referred to by the date that it was buried, which is December 11th. This picture was from McDonald Peak, the same, well, actually not too far away from where that big avalanche was that I just showed you previously. And you can see that it's buried under about a little over 3 feet of snow. So as these weak layers get buried more deeply, they're harder to trigger. It's harder for us to impact those weak layers when we're skiing and riding. But then the avalanche, should you trigger it, would be much larger. So you need to treat those problems a little bit differently. Whereas a persistent slab problem, there's a much greater likelihood that you're going to impact those weak layers because these weak layers are closer to the surface. The Sawtooth Mountains are actually just on the heels of Banner Summit as far as overall snow depth goes. So there's a good chance that tomorrow when you pull up the forecast, Chris is going to make the switch to a deep persistent slab problem in the Sawtooths, given its burial depth. And some of the other, well, I'll show you this quick video. This is from that same pit, and you can watch this column collapse as I start to run my saw through it. You can see there's a noticeable drop, and it's still showing signs of propagation, even though it's been buried for 2 months now. In our southern zones, we have a much more variable snowpack, and the snow depths vary quite greatly. So if you're in the Smoky Mountains or parts of the Soldiers, you may actually see a snowpack that looks really similar to this one that I'm standing next to here, where that layer is, you know, a meter deep or more in some places. But then in others, it's just a much thinner snowpack, and that weak layer is just closer to the surface. So while we are close to a deep persistent slab problem in some portions of the southern mountains around Galena Summit, we're not quite there yet as a zone as a whole. A little bit of a weather outlook. This is an infrared radar image that I just pulled off of a website online. You can see us here waiting for this next storm to arrive. This next storm should arrive overnight tonight and into tomorrow. It's kind of driving down right here, and we'll catch some of the moisture as it sweeps past us here. Again, this is going to favor our northern mountains, so Sawtooths and Banner Summit, although the snowfall from this one looks to be a little bit more widespread, so you might see some more snow occurring down in the valley bottoms that we didn't see out of yesterday and this morning's storm. There's another small storm on tap for Monday, and then it looks like we kind of dry out. There's going to be a big high pressure ridge that forms right here, and will actually be to the east of it, which doesn't happen super often. And when that's the case, it means it's going to get pretty cold. So my guess is you'll see temperatures kind of plummet the beginning of next week, and that ridge stays in place before it breaks down later in the week, where we'll hopefully get another storm rolling in. So just a reminder, this doesn't replace the forecast. We're glad you guys are liking it. Leave us some feedback. Tell us what you want to see in these, and expect to see another one next Friday. In the meantime, you can sign up for our forecasts, daily emails at our website and sawtoothavalanche.com. I hope you guys have a great weekend and a happy Valentine's Day. Thanks a lot.